Hey, it's Mazzy. Welcome to Whack-A-Mole number 188. The Whack-A-Mole is where I take an existing name or concept of an arcade game, the Whack-A-Mole, and I combine it with random record pulls. 187 of these. So if you want to go to that playlist and watch them all, if you're bored this weekend, this coming weekend, that might be something to do. So Whack-A-Mole, 5 random picks, and then I just display them for you and give you my take on them and my knowledge of them historically, musically, one way or another. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, and let's see, how about right here? 5. Octun. Octun, baby. You too. The Sphere Band. Now, there was a time when everyone loved U2, and for some reason they got a certain backlash, but I saw them on their very first tour of America, early 80s at some point, whenever that was, at the Old Waldorf, a small club. They were friggin' great. What Boy, was that the first album? But I go hot and cold. Of course, I like U2 a lot. I'm kind of bored with a lot of their stuff, but there's certain albums, obviously the Joshua Tree and that period, the Daniel Lanois, Eno period. But this is an album I quite like. This is a, what year was this originally? This is a 218 press, but this is obviously not 218. I can't remember what year this was. But what I love about this is there's a song on here that was one of the hits, one of the main hits on it called One. And I remember hearing that song and playing. I just loved the vibe. And it reminded me of something that if John Lennon were around, it's definitely in that Lennon-esque kind of song. A little kind of a nice groove to it, a swampy thing. I mean, that just obviously maybe I was my wishful thinking of that. But I like this record. This is a 2-record set. And this is probably my last favorite U2 album. I'm not all in on U2 anymore. I haven't bought a U2 album in quite some time. This is the double record set that came out on vinyl some years ago. You know, I don't remember Zoo Station on here. Even Better Than the Real Thing. That was another hit on this record. I don't know what else to say about it. Of course, the Irish band, U2. I saw them one time later. I'd say, I saw them when they did that infamous show on the Embarcadero in San Francisco, Halidide Plaza, I guess. Is that the name of the plaza? The one by the, adjacent to the Embarcadero in San Francisco, by the Hyatt Regency Hotel, with that big kind of monstrosity fountain. And it was a free lunchtime concert, and Bono came up to it and spray painted on it. Oh, people went crazy of the vandalism. They paid to repair it. I forgot what he wrote on that. Someone's going to let me know in the comments. But anyway, I like this. I like the cover. I like the packaging. This is a very good album. So U2, starting out with U2. Josh White. I am all in. I pick up every Josh White album I see. This is on London Records. This is a mono American copy. The red label. The red labels were mono. I remember that from my days of getting mono Rolling Stone records in the States. Oh, this is a made in England copy. Ooh, but usually the English stuff was Decca. Okay. London was the American version of Decca, but I guess they obviously had some releases, and my knowledge isn't always spot on here. But a Josh White program, Barbara Allen, a traditional song done by so many people. There's an Art Garfunkel does it also. It's one of those murder ballad type things, or very like that. Molly Malone as well, Like a Natural Man. Now, what's what's great about Josh White is he is one of my favorite country blues singers. Got a really kind of smooth, sexy, swampy voice. Great acoustic guitar playing. He was an activist. He was blacklisted in the 1950s. He was an actor as well. So anything I see from him, I grab if I don't have it. He's done versions of songs like One Meatball, some very traditional songs, and just a great musician and a great singer. His son also has some records out too, long ago, far away. Anyway, Josh White on London Records. Okay. Procol Harum is a favorite band of mine, and I've showcased them several times, and I keep going back to them. I think Gary Brooker has one of the great white soul voices of all time, and him with that great organ playing of Matthew Fisher, that combination of Gary on piano, Matthew Fisher, early days of Robin Trower, of course, Keith Reed as a lyricist, one of the few bands that had a separate lyricist. But this is one of the later albums, not the last album, but this is my favorite of the later kind of albums where all you have left really is Gary Brooker, but I think you have Keith Reed still doing the lyrics here. This is, doesn't say that. Oh, I forgot Matthew Fisher came back on this one. This is a late period Procol Harum album. Matthew Fisher does come back, which adds something. I love that combination of Matthew Fisher. Yet words by Keith Reed. Yeah, so he's there. So you got a nucleus. I mean, we haven't had Robin Trower since Broken Barricades anyway. I miss the great drummer B.J. Wilson, who was, to me, just a really wonderful, he really kind of pushed the band forward in his rhythm playing. He was a forward drummer in my case, and a very underrated drummer. He's not on this, but this is quite a good record. I don't remember specifically songs in terms of explaining the names of the song, calling out songs, but I just remember I've heard this record a lot, but I never really paid attention to the songs in relation to the lyrics. I just love the sound of it. So this is my late favorite. It's not in my top 5 at all, or maybe not even my top 8 Procol Harum records. This originally came out, let's see, I'm going to read it here, 2003. And of course, in the last year or so, year and a half, we lost Gary Brooker. So one of the great British groups, of course. You all know Whiter Shade of Pale, the most played song in the UK between jukeboxes and radio. The most played single song in the United Kingdom. Now we have this, is this 1974 or 5? This is Face the Music, ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. I was all in on ELO from the time of their first album. I was a fan of The Move. Okay, The Move, like a little history to lead up to this. The Move was the band with Roy Wood and Carl Wayne. I love them. Kind of a heavy folk rock and roll thing to it. A little proggish art rock. They were a lot of different things. Carl Wayne's beautiful voice. I mean, Shazam, hands down, is my favorite album by The Move. I think it's a perfect album. Jeff Lynne joins the group. Jeff Lynne had been in a band called The Idle Race. Very Baroque, psychedelic pop music of the late 60s, couple albums. And I have those Idle Race albums. He finally joins Roy Wood in The Move. And they get to do this kind of hybrid thing with strings. And then they do the first ELO album with Roll Over Beethoven. And their whole concept of ELO, the primer of ELO was to start a band and start where the Beatles left off with Strawberry Fields and I Am the Walrus, with those wonderful cello sounds, those deep string instruments in there. And of course, Bev Bevan, who was also in The Move as well. One of the great thunderous drummers. I love ELO. Saw them as a middle act, as a headliner several times at Winterland. I saw them, I remember, at the old Coliseum with Jethro Tull opening up for them. That was around 75, 76, I guess. The big giant spaceship, maybe. So that was a little later, maybe. But I like this. Now I'm thinking, unless I'm wrong, I can't remember. My favorite ELO album is El Dorado. That's the symphonic album. After a while, they got a little single-based. Obviously, it was all about Jeff Lynne pushing that band forward. But I like when they were a band rather than Jeff Lynne and everyone else and the synthesized drums of later period ELO. I still like it. He's great with hooks. He always wanted to be the Beatles, and he's not. But he did work with the Beatles during the Free as a Bird session things. Opens up with this great kind of instrumental thing, Fire on High, Waterfall, Evil Woman. Of course, they have this whole R&B electronic pop thing happen. And of course, on ELO, on the third album that they did, that song Showdown, which is exactly like I heard it through the grapevine, I believe. Night Rider, Poker, Strange Magic, beautiful, Beatlesque again. Down Hometown, kind of a country. It's literally a hoedown song. It almost doesn't fit in, but it is kind of cool in here. And One Summer Dream. Is that the one where they sing? It's just like the Beatles on Hey Jude. So he's so wrapped in the Beatle here. But we got the electric chair on the cover, ELO, on United Artists. And then, of course, they would transfer and go to Columbia Records in the States. But I love this album. I like the compressed sound they have here. We didn't think of it as like now people talk about, oh, that record is too compressed. It's too smashed and squashed. That's his sound. That's what he likes, Jeff Lynne. And he does it really well. So big fan of ELO in this album. Again, El Dorado is my favorite. And last, this is a great album. We're getting into a little bit of an art rock thing going here, aren't we? Procol Harum, you could call that a little art rock, ELO, art rock, not Josh White. U2, yeah, no. But of course, Bjork, one of my favorite art covers. And she is one of those artists, personalities that the whole image artistic endeavor is very much like a David Bowie. I think that's probably her only equal. I did a video last year. It's one of my favorite videos. It doesn't have a lot of views, but seek it out. I argue, or at least go back and forth and present my feelings that Bjork and Beck are the two greatest single solo artists of the last quarter century. They're more interesting, the more dynamic, the more creative, songwriting and just what they do. I love Beck, and that's a separate conversation here. And they evolve. And of course, this Icelandic wonder and Wonder Woman, Bjork, there's even a mountain, I think, in Iceland named after her. Of the members of she was original member of the Sugar Cubes. I did see the Sugar Cubes the first time they came to town. I saw Bjork once early in her solo days, but I haven't seen her since. But to me, one of the great dynamic, creative in cinema, in art production, in audio production, in music. And this is homogenic. She's got, I don't even know how to describe it. It's an artistic thing with neoclassical, with electronica, just great. And in a way, I kind of merge her albums together. I like all of them for different reasons. And what I'll do is when I'm in a mood for a Bjork, aside from maybe the first two albums, I'll just pull anything and put it on. And then frequently when I'm listening, I'll grab another one because I just like that vibe, that feel of electronic beat, dance in some cases, but even just some ethereal ambient stuff she does. So ending up this Whack-A-Mole number 188 with this wonderful album, Bjork, Homogenic. I think 1997 this album came out, Bjork. Thank you for watching. If you're in Columbia City area of Seattle, Empire, Espresso, and records, mostly new records. It's on the upstairs from the cafe. Yeah, it's not a place to dig, but if you want a new record, want to just grab something, that's the place for that. But thanks for watching. Mazzy loves you. See you next time.